This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter with a special episode of ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com, and you can also like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer, and check out our live event at Facebook.com/Shocktober in Irvington. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm kind of freeballing it here, but yeah, it's just me. This episode is our kind of wrap-up episode for Heartland 2018. That's the Heartland International Film Festival that just completed its 27th year here in Indianapolis, and this was technically our third year covering it, I think. We have episodes dating back several years. Last year we didn't do. You heard all this in the last episode. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me here. Here are my notes. Okay. Yeah, you can also find more of our podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. So this is part 4 of our coverage of Heartland 2018. Heartland Film Festival, man, it is just insane. It's so well organized, so put together just greatly, and they have wonderful communication with media outlets, even little media outlets like us, at the Obsessive Viewer. And this year, despite not having a lot of PTO in my day job, I was still able to do a lot of festival stuff, which I was super thrilled about. I was able to see a movie with Tiny, who is always always has kind of a shaky schedule. And I got to see a couple movies with Kyrsten, who I got her a press pass for the first time this year. And we also did the red carpet for awards night, and I did a bunch of press junkets and screenings and stuff. It's been kind of crazy, especially coming right off the heels of Shocktober in Irvington, which our Shocktober in Irvington episode, which if this is your first time listening, Shocktober in Irvington is a one-night event screening of short horror films from local filmmakers here in Indianapolis. We rent out a venue, we screen the short films, interview the filmmakers, and raffle off prizes, all to benefit the Irvington Historical Society. We do that every year, and we just completed our 5th year doing that as of this recording, last Friday? No, the Friday before last. I'm recording this on the 22nd. We did it 10 days ago on October 12th, which was also opening night of Heartland Film Festival, which is why we couldn't cover opening night. So yeah. This year's Heartland Film Festival, I'm just going to go on record and say it was probably the best I've been to and best coverage that we at the Obsessive Viewer have had. And I love the festival. I love the atmosphere. I love the people that organize it. Like, the communication is just ridiculously great. And I kind of dove right into all the press stuff, so I was super thrilled with the interviews that we got and the stuff we got. So let's see. So this is part 4. If you want to listen to the previous 3 parts, just check the feed and you'll find them all right there, or go to OV254.com. That's just our link to our master list, archive with links to every individual episode, sorted out that way. So basically this episode, what I should have said a while ago, again, I'm just here on my own, so it's a little dodgy here. But basically what this episode is the final episode of our Heartland coverage. It's part 4. What you're going to hear in this episode is my review of Care to Laugh, which was the closing night film of Heartland 2018. A really great documentary feature from AARP Studios, their first full-length feature-length film. It's a documentary that follows stand-up comedian Jesus Trejo as he is kind of pounding the pavement of the stand-up comedy scene in LA, while also being the caregiver to his septuagenarian parents. Very, very just beautiful documentary, and you'll hear my review later in this episode. But you'll also be hearing a about 20-ish minute interview that I did with Jesus Trejo, Jeffrey Eagle from AARP Studios, and the director, Julie Getz. This, and I'll set up the interview in a bit, but it was such a thrill to chat with them. And it was just a really great night. They had their world premiere. The closing night film of Heartland was their world premiere. And, it went so well. It was great. I'm so thrilled for them and excited to see what they do in the future. But yeah, we'll get to the interview in a moment, but I do want to mention that, awards night. There was awards night. Let's see. Awards night was Saturday the 20th, and I just want to mention. Okay, so I got a press pass for Kyrsten, and she and I had planned like, okay, we're gonna see a bunch of the movies and everything, and then we'll do like little reviews and everything, and figure all that out. She's in rehearsal for a show that she's doing. That's going to be November 3rd at the Needhammer building in downtown Indianapolis. It's called Yellow Heat, Vincent van Gogh in Arles. It's part of the Dionysia Short Play Festival. I'm doing all of this from memory, so I'll put a link in the show notes and everything. I'm really excited about it because it sounds like a great show. But she's been in rehearsal for that, so Monday through Friday, she's had to do rehearsals every day throughout the festival, so we weren't able to see any movies during the week. But we were able to attend awards night, and I just want to mention, okay, so just to kind of set the stage here. Kyrsten and I, we watch movies all the time, and when I got her the press pass, since she'd been kind of joining the obsessive viewer here, I was like, hey, are you going to be interested in doing like interviews with filmmakers or anything and everything? And she was like kind of hesitant. She was like, I don't know. I've never really done that. So I was like, oh, okay, well that's fine. Tiny's not really comfortable doing it either. I'm fine with it, as you've heard in the episodes. So I'm like, okay, that's perfectly fine. So we did the awards night, and I went to the awards night just expecting like Kyrsten to like be handing the microphone over and kind of like holding my notes and stuff, being like kind of an assistant on the interviews. And I expected that even more because before we got there, before she came over to my apartment, and then we drove over to the awards night at Newfields. She had said that she was not feeling well, and she was like dead on her feet the whole time. Like she was not feeling well at all. But to her credit, holy crap, she asked questions. She like helped interview the filmmakers, and it was really great. I like, so I don't know if Kyrsten's going to listen to this, but well done. I'm so happy that, she was able to, be so involved. And also hats off to Tiny, who, he and I saw the Samuel Project on Thursday, and I convinced him to sit in my car for 45 minutes to record a review of the film. So hats off to Tiny and Kyrsten, and so I was just really excited about that. So the awards night, basically they had the awards like ceremony, but before all that they had a red carpet event where they had about 10 filmmakers walking the red carpet, interviewing the different media outlets. It was a blast. I can't wait for you guys to hear the recordings here in a moment. But the actual awards night ceremony was really fun. I know that in years past they did like kind of a cocktail party kind of thing. I never really attended it, so I don't know how like formal and kind of awardsy it was, but at least I think starting last year they switched it up to be the Glow party, I guess. The Glow Awards Night party. So it was very vibrant, and they had like games, and the food was delicious, and they had Laura Steele from I think she's with Wish TV and like a radio station here in Indy, and emceeing the event, and like they awarded I think a total of $80,000 to filmmakers. Just a really fun night, and it was great, and I felt terrible because as like the awards were being announced and everything, Kyrsten couldn't clap because she basically, not to go into detail or anything, but like she injured her arm in a way, so she couldn't like clap. So it was a fun night. But anyway, so that's awards night. I'm rambling a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw it to my interview with Jeffrey Eagle, Julie Getz, and comedian Jesus Trejo for Care to Laugh, which is AARP's film that closed out the Heartland Film Festival this year. And very, very just beautiful documentary. And also, if you are wanting or are in need, if you are a caregiver to someone and are in need of resources or trying to figure out like how to effectively be an effective caregiver, I definitely recommend going to aarp.org/caregiving. It's got tons of really great resources and different things from like the basics of caregiving, getting tips about caregiving at home and how to prepare to be a caregiver. Like they cover the health and the financial and legal aspects of caregiving, and also they provide tips for managing your own kind of health and time and everything. So anyway, go to aarp.org/caregiving. It's a great resource if you find yourself in need of caregiving or in a position where you are a caregiver to someone. Okay, so without further ado, here is my interview with the filmmakers and star of Care to Laugh, which had its world premiere at Heartland Film Festival. It closed it out. It's a feature-length documentary about Jesus Trejo, a comedian working in California as he struggles to break in, not necessarily even break into the comedy scene, just survive in the comedy scene while also taking care of his two elderly parents. So check out my interview with the filmmakers and the star. I don't know how it sounds, but like we were outside of the tent of the closing night party, and I felt so terrible because I did not anticipate how cold it was going to be, and we had just seen the film, and I had a lot of questions, and we ended up talking for like 20 minutes, and I felt terrible because it's like freezing out there. So, Greg from Heartland brought us out some hot cider, so that was very nice. But yeah, so here is my interview with the people behind Care to Laugh. Enjoy.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Is it recording?
All right. So my name's Matt, by the way, from the Obsessive Viewer podcast. And first of all, congratulations on the film. And okay, so Jesus Trejo,
yes, sir.
The subject and comedian, caregiver, all of the above of the film Care to Laugh, which just had its world premiere tonight at Heartland Film Festival. Can you tell me about your experience with the film and very cold Indiana weather?
Yes, it's very cold, but I love it out here. And the film Care to Laugh is a great film that I was able to work on with ARP Studios, and it came about because ARP Studios did an event for caregivers at the Hollywood Improv, and they invited out a bunch of caregivers, and they made sure the proper arrangements were made for them to come out and enjoy a nice dinner and a night of comedy. And
nice.
The headliner that night was Jim Brewer, and I was opening for him, and I go up there and I do my jokes, and that's where I met Mr. Jeff Eagle here, and it was cool to see how my material resonated in the room. And then shortly after, they reached out and filmed a day in a life, and then it became this. So it's been an awesome, fun journey. So
nice. And I've got to say, the film itself is just very, very heartwarming, and just feels so earnest. And I have to commend you. Your work ethic and everything, it seemed like such a genuine, portrayal of you that it just felt so it was very inspiring to see you work so hard at your comedy and showcasing the moments where you have your doubts or your nerves. It just seems like everything is just laid out bare in the film, and it's just something that I respect in a documentary. And also just the fact that you're a caregiver to your parents is remarkable, and I just have to commend you for your work ethic, and it's just inspiring to me.
I think Julie Getz did an amazing job of capturing that, and made my family and I feel so comfortable that made it easier to open up. It was still hard, but it made it easier, and for that I'm grateful for. It was just Jeffrey Eagle and Julie Getz and the whole ARP team, their vision and seeing it kind of come to life tonight is really cool. And
nice.
I mean, it was a hard process. I don't know, maybe Julie can tell you more of what that process was like.
Yeah.
The process of filming with Jesus. Well, I mean, kind of what you were saying, how we first met, and then it really was, the idea is that when we fell in love with him, we knew that this was a story that we wanted to tell and share with the world.
Nice.
And we feel, I feel very honored and lucky that Jeffrey allowed me the opportunity to direct this. And really, we just, for a year, we just followed Jesus. We just, our best, as a job as filmmakers, is try to not intervene and just be flies on the walls and try and tell the story as natural and as organic as we possibly can. And we felt like it's an incredible message, and we hope that everyone who sees the film will love it and appreciate it and be inspired. And if you're not a caregiver yourself, that you know somebody who's a caregiver, and just reach out and help out when you can, because it's not always easy. And but Jesus does it with such grace. And
Oh yeah.
Did you want to say anything?
Sure, Matt. Do you want to reset a question, or do you? I can build off these guys. We've all been practicing.
Sure. So you were the producer on the film, correct?
Yep. The executive producer. Yeah.
Executive producer. And what I find so interesting about a documentary film in particular is that there's so much. I assume you guys had so much footage to go through, and what I found particularly interesting to me about the film is how it follows such a smooth narrative throughout the year that you guys spend with him. And just can you speak to how much footage you guys had, and how how much time and how much of if there was any struggle committing it to a narrative that to great effect was a very smooth narrative experience for the finished product.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably give the mic back to Julie. I mean, we could talk terabytes or runtime. I mean, but there was a lot. And we asked Jesus. Jesus was out there vlogging.
Yeah,
he was going back to early tapes. In terms of old photos. I mean, when you tell a documentary about someone's life and you try to capture it from beginning to now. There's a lot to I mean, your family, you got a lot of pictures on the wall in that house, in your house, right? And there's a story for each one of those. But I think it's all about documentary filmmaking and editing is all about choices and structure. We could have gone a number of ways. I just remember one thing that you said. There's a sequence where Jesus talks about really not having time for himself, really, which equates to time for his comedy. And there's a cut scene where Jesus talks about normally after an audition or after a meeting, he said, look, I would go to a coffee shop and I would write for hours, or I would go meet with my fellow comedians or writer, or, my writing friends. But instead, he's hustling. He's hustling home to see how things are at home, or to run to another appointment. And I think it's very. I mean, I've seen the film so many times, and I'll just. Every time it's not like I see something new, but even your meeting with your manager, where you're literally, he's talking about your professional schedule, your professional life, and you're like, not that day, and not that night, not that weekend, and because it's about the choices. And I think, just your parent. I mean, there's a scene where his parents are in the back seat, and for anybody who's a parent with toddlers, you reversed it. And Jesus, again, I've said this. Jesus told those stories on the stage the first time we met him, and we knew there was just source material behind all of that.
Oh yeah,
there's I just said, look, the film's about love of family and the power of laughter.
Oh yeah,
and I think that and we are Julie and I and our job at ARP Studios, we're trying to personalize real issues and stories.
Oh yeah.
And there's 40 million caregivers, and Jesus is one, and he's an incredible one. And so we're forever grateful to his parents. And we fell in love with Jesus. We fell in love with his parents. His friends came out of the woodwork to comment. Nice. And I don't even know if he knows all this, but they were like, where and when I will come and talk about this guy anytime.
That's
and even
fantastic.
he shared tonight at the screening here at Heartland that even as we ask questions, they deepen their understanding of what he really was doing, not dealing with or not struggling with, but just doing. So so tons of choices. But back to your question, is we had tons of footage. Do you want to talk about how much footage? Choices?
Oh gosh, I mean, look, it comes down to basic storytelling. There's a million different ways to tell a story,
sure.
Right? We could approach this in so many different angles and ways, and I can remember our board with all our different colored note cards, and like, should it be this act 1, act 2, should the arc go this way and that way, or we could do it this way, and you just I don't know, and then we settled on it, and it just felt right. You know what I'm talking about? When you're making a film, it's like all of a sudden it just clicks, and I feel like that's what happened. It did.
Well, I was going to say, and then the ending revealed itself. I mean, so we didn't know where we were going to take it and where it was going to go, but we were just going to follow Jesus' story, and
nice. And Jesus, if you don't mind, can you talk about your process for writing and for your stand-up? Like, I'm someone who I really appreciate stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
It's something I can never do.
Of course you can.
And it's just, well, I appreciate that, but it's just I love the craft of it. Like, there's sequences in the film where you show the board, or the board where you have like, okay, I'm gonna write 5 minutes in this amount of time, and then by this amount of time I'll have an hour special. Like, can you talk about your process of creating your act and how it's evolved?
Yeah, it's like the saying is like shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll be among stars.
Nice.
I shoot very high. To say that I come up with 5 minutes a week is not realistic, but guess what? At the end of that week, I have 2 new minutes, 3 new minutes. I might luck out and get pretty close to the 5 minutes. Then I go back and, but I break everything down. I find comfort in numbers. So it's like every 13 weeks, that's a quarter of the year. And, every week has 7 days, and each day has 24 hours. And I just... break down a bigger goal into a smaller goal that I can digest. It's like I work better with smaller kind of goals to hit, as opposed to being overwhelmed and standing at the base of Mount Everest going, well, how the hell am I going to get up there?
Right.
Instead, I'm like, all right, I'll put this foot here and this foot there, and that's it. And then, you focus on the next thing. But just writing, I write stuff on my phone, just one word. Things that will trigger a premise in my head.
Sure.
And then I work on a one-liner, and then if I can get the one-liner to go, it's almost like my thesis statement, in the first paragraph, and then that turns into a longer bit. But I'm always writing. I'm always, voice recording myself, and it's it consumes every minute of every day in my head, which allows me to kind of deal with other things,
Yeah, and one of the things that I loved about the film was the way it showcased, like, the process. Like, you went to it was Marty's, right?
Yeah, Marty's, the open mic in West Hollywood.
Where you worked out your set and everything in the lead up to the Late Late Show. And it was just, I loved seeing that kind of depiction of, taking notes and adjusting, like, cadences and everything. I really appreciate that about the film. And so can you? How about this? Who would you say is one of your biggest influences in comedy? And the? I mean, like, if you had one comedian that's like, oh, this person's the reason why I do comedy?
I'd say Richard Pryor. If it was just one person, and it's Richard Pryor because he talked about being so vulnerable. He talked about his addiction so openly, and all the things that were not going right in his life, but I look at guys like Brian Regan now or JB Smoove and just the physicality and how they break down a premise and how they're able to find the second, third beat of something in the act out, and seeing that premise come to life of something so insignificant but making it a big deal about it. It's I get inspired watching those guys and hope to operate at that level one day.
I did notice in the film, like the depictions of your stand-up and everything, you do bring a physicality to it that, like, it for me, it killed every time. It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, just your movements and everything. It was really really great. I really enjoyed the comedy aspect of it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and so when you were approached to be, in a documentary, how did you feel about having, cameras around you for a year, and how did you adjust to that process? Because I mean, they captured what feels like such a genuine, you had such candor in the film. Like, were you conscious of that, or was it just like, I'm just gonna do my thing?
It took some time. I think initially when there was the initial talks of like having cameras follow me for a year, I had to kind of talk to my parents about it, and very hesitant, and there was definitely a few days that we took to kind of discuss it and digest what that was going to be like, and my parents came around to it. But yeah, I mean, it is hard. It is hard. You put so much of yourself out there, and it's a lot, but it's part of the story and the narrative, and people saw it for what it is, raw.
Sure. In the Late Late Show, I don't want to give anything away in the film, but you are. A big portion of the film is that you're preparing for your first late night talk show appearance, and it's a credit to the film and to I don't hesitate to say performance like in the film, but like the depiction of you in the film in the lead up, I was so there with you. Like, I was so nervous, and then like it reaches such a great payoff to it. So I just want to say congratulations, really.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And
can you speak to like how, like, was there anything that wasn't included in the doc that you felt like in the lead up to that? Or
I mean there was some stuff back there, but I talked about it briefly, like my dad not understanding even while he was there what the big deal was, and it was a new setting for my parents, and my dad took down a whole veggie platter by himself, and that was for the room. He's like, "You guys want anything?" And he's like, "Why do they keep bringing food?" It's like, "Oh, it's the green room, and you're the only one eating it." It's like, it's for everybody. My managers, lawyers there, friends, but it was cool. It was that experience that I think wasn't in there, but I mean, everything else is so raw and tells the story. Like what it was just like, it's Absolutely. So raw. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Julie and team, everyone, it just the patience they must have had with our folks, with my folks,
sure,
my team, myself. It says a lot about the ARP team. It's like your patience, and my parents are difficult. I could be difficult, and
sure,
getting tired, long days, and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it just I'm very grateful that they didn't punch me in the face or anything. So
nice. And with ARP Films, like what's next for you guys? I guess for ARP, it's ARP Studios, right?
Sure. Well, we effectively launched sort of a reimagination of ARP Studios, or storytelling, with our digital series Dinner with Don.
Okay.
Last year it's on YouTube. Nice. Dinner with Don Rickles. We were the last production that Don Rickles did.
Nice.
And it also put us in an interesting comedic place, where we just saw how much folks connect with different things, comedy being one of them.
Sure.
And I think so. Yes. So we have the the most read magazine in the country, and that's got incredible source material.
Wow.
But I think what we're trying to do is caregiving is an organizational priority, and Julie and I, our job every day is to figure out how to personalize those stories, how to tell stories. And so we have so with Dinner with Dawn, we talked about comedy and reinvention and staying with something, staying with a piece of passion. We have Julie is also responsible for producing one of our top performing podcasts called The Perfect Scam.
Oh, nice!
It's on the top 200 on Apple Podcasts. It's all about fraud.
Fantastic.
It's called The Perfect Scam. But I think for us, it's about trying to figure out what the story is and then match that with a platform, with a channel, with a technology. Where are people listening? Where do people need to hear this story? With Jesus, as much as we continue to get from him and his family, we started to move in that long form space. With Dinner with Dawn, we saw a snackable, short, 10, 12, 13-minute piece, Don and his friends, on YouTube. With The Perfect Scam, we're on podcasts. So it will depend. But we are absolutely, we had so much fun, so much joy making these issues personal.
Oh yeah,
that we're hungry for more. Nice. We'd like to do a Care to Laugh Part 2 with Jesus, or anything else Jesus wants to do. We want to be in the Jesus Trejo business.
I am so on board with that. Yeah, right, I'm so there.
Like Fast and Furious. You guys, it's like we just keep it going. Keep it going. We may have to get Ben involved, but other than that,
laugh, two.
But
care.
But I mean, I think that's what's next. I mean, we can't stop.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've got this.
Oh
yeah. We have to keep grinding. But
Absolutely.
I mean, we ARP is a great organization. I don't think that I'll just speak for myself. I don't think I realized when I first went to ARP several years ago how many issues and stories there are, and then you find a character, character in a story, you drive it towards making something personal, something that really can connect, and I think when you can feel it, as you did tonight, Matt.
Oh, absolutely,
just so exciting to hear.
Nice.
So that's what we're doing, and we have some projects that much like Jesus, everything's top secret until further notice. But I'm always excited that we have new fans and new friends to watch whatever's next for us. So thanks for your interest.
Oh yeah, no problem. And I'll let you guys get back to back to your party here in just a moment. Just this was the world premiere of Care to Laugh. Are there any other festivals or anything coming up where people can find it?
Absolutely. So next up is Austin Film Festival.
Nice.
That's next week. Following that is Chicago Comedy, and then Doc NYC, and then
I think then we're just looking at other screenings.
And then we're looking at other screening to fill out. Right. Sweet. 2018 in the beginning of 2019, and then going wider in 2019.
Awesome.
Can I just add one more thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think for us, not a lot of people know this. We know this because we work at ARP, but November is actually National Caregiving Month.
Oh, really? Nice.
So we wanted to activate it. We wanted to make sure, we wanted this film to feel current. For one, is in Jesus's life and work right now and his family right now. But we also really, really focused on trying to put it out this year, and this film festival and the ones that Julie just mentioned allow us to play when caregiving is going to be in the news.
Nice.
It's part of the zeitgeist and part of the national awareness. So,
perfect.
So timing wise, but look, we're going to run this thing. We're going to keep playing for whoever's interested, and I think try to figure out how do we get a mass distribution so more folks can see it, like yourself.
Perfect. All right. Well, great. I'm so glad to have seen it, and so excited to have it out there and everything, and I'm sure people are going to love it when they see it.
Sure. Can I plug a URL for the film?
That was my next question.
I feel like I took the mic, Julie. Do you want to do the URLs in a very dramatic voice?
There's lots of ways that everyone can see the trailer. And you can follow along on the film's journey as where we're going to the festivals, any updates or news. And that's aarp.org/Care to Laugh. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. It's just Facebook Care to Laugh, and Instagram Care to Laugh. So
nice. And Jesus, where can we find your social media presence, or any stand-up dates coming up or anything?
Yeah, website is www.jesustrejo.com, and there's a bunch of links there. I'm on Instagram at Jesus Trejo, the number 1, and Twitter at Jesus Trejo.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, especially with it being so cold. and again, congratulations on a spectacular doc, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next, and follow your career, Jesus, as well. I can't wait.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys, and
thank you, Matt.
Yeah, and best of luck with the film going forward.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so that was my interview with the filmmakers and the star of Care to Laugh. I'm going to be reviewing it here later in this episode. But again, go to aarp.org/caregiving for tips about caregiving and how to become a caregiver to someone in your life. So, next up in this episode is a collection of interviews that Kyrsten and I conducted on the red carpet at the awards night event at Heartland. So this was at Newfields, which was Newfields is like the rebranding of the Indianapolis Museum of Art. It's a great venue, and I'm thrilled that Heartland has is utilizing it too, because it's a great place. They have the Toby Theater, which I've talked about a lot here on the podcast in the past. It's a very beautiful little theater. But yeah, so these interviews were conducted October 20th, Saturday, October 20th. You'll hear some familiar voices from some people that I interviewed in the previous red carpet episode. But you'll hear a lot of other new voices as well from the film festival. So, here are the red carpet, interviews. Here are the red carpet interviews for Heartland Film Festival 2018. I do want to mention that when you get to the Live the Stream, recording, they had a baby with them, and it was the most adorable thing because the baby kept trying to grab the microphone from them, and it was just so adorable. Yeah, so you'll hear me kind of laughing a little bit as we're interviewing them, and that's why. It's because the baby was trying to grab the microphone, and it was adorable. So anyway, here are the red carpet interviews from Heartland Film Festival 2018 from their awards night red carpet event that was on October 20th, 2018.
Hi there.
Hi.
Oh, fantastic.
Doing well. How are you? My name is Matt from The Obsessive Viewer, and this is Kyrsten.
Oh, pleasure to have y'all.
Yeah.
Be with you guys.
Would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your film?
I'm Dimas Salaberios. This is John Shepard, who produces Emanuel with us. So we did a film on the church shooting that happened in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we followed that story from beginning to completion, where the families forgave, and Dylan Roof is sentenced, incarcerated here actually in Indiana.
Wow.
On death row. What's the name of the jail, John? Terre Haute prison, and just a privilege to be at Heartland, one of the best festivals in the nation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so happy to be a part of that.
Nice. Well, congratulations on the film. And how's your experience been with Heartland? Is this your first time at Heartland?
It's my first, John.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been a few times. I've got a few films that have won Heartland, and I'm excited to be back. We did a movie called Snowmen a few years back, and Bobby Jones' Stroke of Genius, and The Ultimate Gift. But this is the first real doc we've had, and I'm excited about the response we've had. And it's the festival has grown so much.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to ask, are you excited about awards night? And tonight is the awards night of the festival.
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited for all of the events that are lined up and everything?
You know, there's so many great films here, and I would hate to be a judge to have to choose through it. And I'm purposely being magnanimous, but I also hope that our film wins.
Right.
So we're in it to win it, and that's what we're here from New York. John's from L.A., so we have a wide team covering America.
Nice.
But to get the job done, we're meeting in the middle, right in the heart.
Oh, yeah.
Of the land.
Nice.
Yes.
Knowing everything you know now, having your film at the festival, is there one thing that you could go back and tell yourself at the beginning of the process?
As far as movie making or spending time here at the festival?
Movie making. Is there one thing that you could tell yourself?
I would say that I'm very happy that we did a film that has great meaning, that has impact on our nation, dealing with racial reconciliation, forgiveness, and the ability to tell a story of the one city that didn't burn or riot. So I thought that's important, not to just show the fire and the craziness that goes on and the extreme, but to also show how the power of God and Christ made a difference in these people's lives to forgive, and how that had an impact on the entire nation. And that was the only. Obama did the funeral, sung Amazing Grace there. I mean, that's a moment that's going to be historic, and it was great to do something that's a part of history.
Great.
Nice.
How about you, John?
One thing I would tell myself at the beginning of this, I would not underestimate the power of story. You know, it's a fun thing about documentaries is you go and you don't know where it's going to lead. You think you know where you're going to go and where you're going to end up, and the journey is exciting, but you often end up in a place that's completely different. I would just say what has taught me really was we have work to do still. I have a lot to learn as a filmmaker, and I want to be more a part of these kind of stories because you're really giving people the opportunity to tell something that needs to be heard. And no matter how reluctant they were, how hesitant they were, at the end of the day, they wanted, the people, the family members, the victims' family members wanted this story out, and we got the privilege of stewarding that sort of content, releasing it to the world.
Nice. Well, that's fantastic. And once again, congratulations on the film. And I do have a question I like to ask any documentarians I come across. How did the project kind of evolve as the project went on? Like, did you guys set out with a clear idea of how you wanted it to go, or did you find more of a story and theme in the editing as the story evolved in front of you?
Well, I'll start and let Dimas finish. You know, if stories and films like this are made 3 times, the first time you plan it, the second time you shoot it, the third time you edit it, right?
Nice.
So the planning, what I was involved in was they went down and shot a trailer of what it was going to be. So you have this commercial that you go out and raise money thinking we're going to tell a story where everybody holds hands, and at the end of it they all sing Kumbaya and everything's tied up in a nice bow, and it's such a happy film. And then how are you going to tell this story? Well, it evolved because we didn't have an entree into that city. We're from Los Angeles. We don't know anybody in Charleston. And then Dimas Saliberios, pastor from New York, had been a first responder. So our director knew of Dimas, and I'll let Dimas pick it up there. He knew the families and gave us access, really.
So for me, I had no idea that this would become a film. In my heart, I just wanted to help the victims, raise money for them, care for them through this horrific crisis, that in one of the places that should be a safe space, having a Bible study amongst your peers in a church, and then you end up with, being shot and killed is just completely horrible. So, but then to have the privilege to tell that story and to not, we're not making money off the story. We told the family members, all the money that we would get as producers would be very significant. We're going to gift it to the families.
Nice.
So to be able to tell their stories and impact more people with it became a huge opportunity. Yeah.
That's remarkable, and it sounds like a really powerful documentary and message in it as well. Where can people find the film online on social media, and do you guys have any other film festivals lined up?
One place they're going to be able to find the film is in theaters. That's our goal, for it to be in theaters in the first quarter of 2019.
Nice.
So that, and do you have a website that they can find it on? Yeah, I think they can go to arbellastudios.com, arbellastudios.com. They can find it. They can find things about it there, but there's no way you can find or see it unless you. I think we're doing just 1 or 2 more festivals. Then we're not doing the festival life. Our mission is to hit the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
all right.
So Heartland was important to us. 1 or 2 others that I won't name right now are important to us, but our focus is here. Heartland was one that we wanted to get in, wanted to be involved in because of the reach that it and the breadth of impact it gives. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have a great president, by the way.
Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, thank you guys so much for chatting with us, and congratulations once again on the film and everything going forward. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Hi.
You guys have this?
Yeah. Actually interviewed you guys on Wednesday. Yeah. How's it going?
Good.
Can you tell us again about your film and where we can find it online on social media?
Our film is called Live the Stream, the story of Joe Humphreys. We had our last screening on Thursday. We had a packed house. Joe did a Q&A. It was awesome. And actually, for social media, we're at facebook.com/livethestreamfilm. That's actually we want to push people there because eventually we'll be releasing the film. They can get updates and sign up for email and everything. So
nice. So how has the festival been for you? I mean, you said you had a really great screening and everything.
Yep.
How's your experience been with Heartland, and are you excited about awards night?
Yeah, no, I have to say our experience here has been wonderful because our audiences have definitely been so welcoming. We've had either packed houses or sold-out screenings, which is awesome.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And all the feedback has been fantastic. I think a lot of them, everybody thought it was like a fly fishing film, and all the reaction is, I can't believe it was so emotional and inspirational.
Right.
So, and then with Joe being there, I think it was, it just kind of added to things. So our feedback has been outstanding.
We actually got pushed out of some of the theaters because everyone wanted to talk to Joe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, it was because I got to speak to Joe at the first red carpet on Wednesday, and that was such a treat. That was one of the highlights for me. He seems like just such a cool guy. Yeah. Very, very interesting.
He is.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely he's called a legend for a reason. I mean, he really is. He's one of a kind. When you meet him for a couple minutes, and you'll remember him for a lifetime.
Nice. And I think my co-host Kyrsten had some questions for you.
Yeah. Can you tell us what the biggest obstacle or the biggest challenge has been to get where you are today?
Well, one of the biggest obstacles with filming, I guess, we actually had so much footage. Post-production was really tough just to put everything together because we had Joe had so much different things going on, so it was hard to really pick the most perfect parts of the film. But
I mean, I would definitely say for us, we're a completely self-funded film. So it's been extremely difficult for us. So we don't have any sponsors. We have backers. We did a crowdfunding campaign that was extremely successful, and we're so thankful for our crowdfunding campaign. But besides that, it's the crew that you see right here that did the entire film. So we were a small crew and self-funded.
That's great. So going back to the beginning of the process, if there was one thing you could tell yourselves, knowing everything that you know now, what would it be?
Well, originally when we started filming, we thought we'd film for 5 or 6 months, and it ended up being almost 3 years. So.
Oh my gosh!
So I guess that would have been it, because Joe was always constantly saying, "Let's do this, let's do that," and I don't know. What I guess maybe for us, since we did everything ourselves, it would have been maybe probably bring maybe a few extra people in just to help with because we're starting to realize how much the social media aspect and finding distribution and everything is how important it is to our film. So we just couldn't do everything, and now we're into that phase, and we wish we kind of would have started that 3 years ago. So to build up a following and everything for us. So
great.
Well, that's fantastic, and your story is one that's I'm sure will resonate with a lot of aspiring filmmakers, being completely self-funded and really kind of just going for it. On that note, do you have any advice for people that are wanting to make a film that don't really know if they have what it takes, or they think that they need a big production behind it?
I mean, first off, you have to have a strong subject. So for us, we're extremely lucky to be following Joe Humphreys because he resonates with so many different ages and audiences, and his story is a story that I feel like everyone will want to hear and listen to, because it really is a story for everyone. So the subject first, right? And then if you're going to do a documentary and self-fund it all yourself.
Wear a lot of hats, I don't know. No more than one specialty.
Yeah, and have strong crew members with you. So,
Nice. Great. And where can we find Live the Stream, the social media presence once again?
Right now, you can go to livethestreamfilm.com is our main official site, and then facebook.com/livethestreamfilm. And then we're Live the Stream. So those are the three main things. And if you guys sign up, and eventually we're hoping to release the film in the next few months. So
perfect. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with us.
Thank you guys.
And congratulations once again on the film.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
All right. Hi, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. actually interviewed you guys a couple days ago.
Yeah.
The red carpet.
We listened to it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Wow.
I saw it pop up on social media.
Oh,
this morning.
perfect.
Give it a listen.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you. Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
I know.
No,
right?
if you got any new things to lob at us,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we're happy to talk.
Perfect. All right. Well, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves for the podcast again and tell us about Bullitt County.
Sure. I'm Josh Reedford. I'm the producer of Bullitt County.
I'm David McCracken. I'm the writer-director, and I play Keaton in the movie.
And Bullitt County is an action thriller set in 1977. It's about these four friends that reunite after 10 years for a bachelor party. They hear about this legend of buried Prohibition money somewhere out in the middle of Kentucky, in the middle of the Bluegrass Bourbon Trail. And they set off in search of it, and things don't go the way they plan, and everything spirals out of control. And, well, it's pretty grim.
Oh, yeah.
But also great.
It does get, as I said when I interviewed you guys before, it does go to some dark places. And one thing that I didn't think to ask you guys, and I'm so glad I get the chance to ask you again, it has such a good blend of like comedy and thriller aspects to it. And was there anything in the film, like when you guys were filming it, was there any room for like improv or like any kind of improv throughout the filming process, or was it kind of just a stick to the script kind of production?
It was actually, I encouraged improv because every one of our actors is actually a comedy actor first.
Nice.
So we knew that the subject material, especially and script level, got dark, and we always wanted to kind of look at it a kind of a sideways, darkly humorous sort of angle, and so that's why we cast all comedy actors. But yeah, improv, I encouraged it, but honestly, we generally just stuck to the scripts. There was maybe a line or two. I think, honestly, I was probably the most heavily improving one just because I couldn't remember my lines. Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, it was, we actually worked out a lot of kinks prior. We were able to have a couple months of rehearsal, which I always encourage filmmakers if you can, because once you start shooting, it's just like run and gun.
Yeah.
And so that was like, I would say if there was improv, it was done at that stage, and then I wrote it into the script, so it was kind of worked out already.
Great, and I think my co-host Kyrsten has some questions for you.
Sure.
Yeah, my first question, is that a Star Trek tie?
It's Blueprints for the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
My next question is about the film. Can you tell us
We can just talk about Star Wars.
Yeah,
Star Wars, that's fine.
Don't listen to the podcast.
You're Trekkies, aren't you?
That's okay, we can do that too.
Can you tell us what the biggest obstacle or the biggest challenge was, either in filmmaking, editing, getting to the festival? What would the biggest challenge have been getting where you are now?
I think just straight up, like most independent filmmakers, the biggest challenge is money.
Yeah.
And that was an ongoing process. I mean, it was kind of, we started out, we got enough to get through production, and then we had to do a giant Kickstarter to get us through post, and then we had to do even more to get us through the festivals, and it just never ends. You always hope that somebody's going to come along and just write you a $1 million check and say, "Here you go, do your thing," and that doesn't happen. But again, like David said, with advice for other filmmakers, just keep going. It'll happen, and sometimes it just takes you longer than you think. But for me, as a producer, that is absolutely the hardest part.
No, that was hard for me too because we couldn't make it without money.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And at least we live in an age of technology where you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and like Josh was saying, as far as like working hard, I think a lot of it is, that's really how you build a team and how you get people to throw in money, is that they see how excited, hard-working you are, and they can sense that, and they'll know, well, if I do these sacrifices, if I move to Indiana for a month to shoot this movie, if I write a check, it's gonna go to a good place and it's gonna pay off. And now we're in Heartland, so it did pay off.
Awesome.
Do you have any others? Nope. All right, great. All right, well, thank you guys so much for chatting with us. And again, congratulations on the film. I said this before, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm so excited for you guys and for, what you guys do next.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. And once again, can you tell us where we can find Bullitt County online and Mr. Pictures online as well?
Sure. You can find Mr. Pictures on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Mr. Pictures Film. You can find Bullitt County next week, October the 26th. 26th. It opens nationwide in theaters in 7 cities, and hopefully, depending on how that goes, maybe more. And then if you can't catch it in one of your cities, you can see it on VOD in February.
Nice. Well, congratulations again, and best of luck going forward. And yeah, thanks for chatting with us.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We're Matt and Kyrsten. We're from the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Would you mind introducing yourself, and telling us about the film?
You bet. My name's Don Hahn, and I'm the producer and director and writer of Howard, which is a story about Howard Ashman, the lyricist who wrote the songs for Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, and probably Aladdin and all the movies you grew up on.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. And congratulations on the film.
Thanks.
And for being here at Heartland. How's your experience been with Heartland? What's your history with Heartland as well?
Well, it's funny. I've been coming here on and off for 25 years. I had a film here last year. I had a film about 6 years ago here, so about veterans returning from Afghanistan. I had a film about 10 years ago about a photojournalist. So I love it, and I don't know why. I'm from Chicago originally and live in LA, but for some reason the people are great and the festival is well run, and I like coming back here. It's just always a great audience, and it's very appreciative of filmmakers, which is I think why we all come here.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten that vibe from just covering Heartland for the last several years. It's great, and it's great that as press, like, we get the opportunity to interview people like you.
Sure, yeah.
It's really remarkable.
Great.
And so are you excited for awards night? And
yes, we've been guaranteed that we would win lots of awards. No, I'm just lying. I'm like totally lying right now. Yeah, of course. It was a confident lie. But no, of course, it's nice. The best thing about it, though, I have to say, is meeting other filmmakers, because we all live in dark rooms all year long, and they really let us out. And so when they do, it's really fun to be able to kind of meet other people and realize they have the same problems that you have and the same issues about storytelling and, financing and cameras and the whole thing. And I love it. I mean, my film's a documentary, and I'm used to doing animated films, so it's a real different kind of milieu, to a different sandbox to play in. But I love it because of that, because it's so different.
Great. And I think you have some questions for me?
Can you tell us how long in the making was this film?
We worked on it for a little over 2 years. It's an odd film because it's made almost entirely out of recycled paper. No, it's made almost entirely out of... Sorry, it's late. Made almost entirely out of found objects and scrapbook material and archival material from the 80s and 90s. Old scratchy videotape, old recordings, that kind of thing. So it's not like I had to go out in the field and, film in war zones or chimpanzees or something like that. It was really about the research. So we started at the Library of Congress, where Howard's papers are kept, went to relatives' houses, interviewed, talked around, and kind of got our backstory together, and then came back to our editing room and started to assemble it all. So that was a 2.5 year process.
Well, if you could go back to day one of filming, go back to day one of this process, what's one piece of advice or encouragement that you would like to give yourself?
It's always about persistence, because documentary filmmakers are real treasure hunters. You're trying to find that one photo you're missing, or that one story you're missing, or that one interview of the guy or girl you never thought of. So you have to persist all the way through the end, all the way through post. I mean, on this film, we got a piece of audio in 3 weeks before the movie was finished, and somebody called up and said, "We have this recording of Howard at this press junket for Little Mermaid in Orlando. Would you like to hear it?" And I leapt through the phone and said, "Yes, please." So if you can persist, it's a great art form, and it's a golden age of documentaries right now. There's so many great documentaries out there.
Well, that's great. Congratulations again on the film.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and where can we find Howard on social media?
In my hotel room, and then also we do have a howardmovie.com, which has all the information about screenings and things. And then we're out theatrically in December in New York and LA. And then beyond that, Disney's going to distribute the movie on their new streaming service, because Disney's starting the streaming service to compete with Netflix. And they've been really interested in the movie, so luckily they're going to pick it up, which is something that documentary filmmakers dream of.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like a lucky man.
Nice. Well, congratulations on that. That's incredible.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for chatting with us. And
it's a pleasure.
Best of luck going forward. Is it going to be at any other film festivals? Or is it
yeah, we will. We have a few coming up, none of which come to mind right now, but we started at Tribeca back in April, and it's always... fantastic to be invited to any film festival. And so when somebody like Heartland calls up and says, would you come and show your movie? It's like, yes, of course, we'd be honored. And like I said, the audiences are so warm here. It's really a pleasure.
Nice. Well, congratulations again.
Thanks, you guys.
Best of luck going forward, and it's been a pleasure.
Same here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Sure.
And we are recording. All right.
Cool.
Hi, my name is Matt, and this is Kyrsten from the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Would you mind introducing yourself and telling us about the film?
Yeah, I'm Brock Williams. I'm a producer on the film On Her Shoulders. On Her Shoulders follows Nadia Murad. She just won the Nobel Peace Prize, but she's a Yazidi survivor and activist. The film follows her on a tour speaking to media and politicians and governments and trying to spread the word and get help for her people. The Yazidis have been facing a genocide at the hands of ISIS for the last 3 years or so.
Wow. Well, congratulations on the film. And it's one that we haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but it's been kind of high on my radar at least because it looks just incredible. Can you speak to your experience with Heartland? Is this your first time at Heartland?
This is my first time here.
How's it been going?
It's great. Yeah, it's been a great experience. And Alexandria Bombach is the director of the film. And her first feature played here, so she really wanted to be here. But our film opened this weekend in New York, so she has to be in New York for all of the press and theatrical screenings there. So I came to the festival, but she would have loved to be here. She had her first feature here and was this fest. Yeah.
So can you tell us about the beginning of what inspired the project and kind of what brought everyone on board for it?
Yeah, so the production company, Riot Films, they were approached by Elizabeth Schaefer-Brown. She's a co-producer on the film. She works closely with Nadia and her team. And Elizabeth met them and came to them and said, somebody should make a documentary about Nadia. And they originally were going to make a short film. They called Alexandria to direct a short film about Nadia. And she got the phone call, and I think a few days later was on a plane and met their team in New York and started filming and following them on this whirlwind tour in New York and Toronto and other parts of Canada and Greece and Germany. And during the process of filming, Alexandria realized that it really needed to be a feature film. So she called me. We had worked together. I was a consulting producer on her first feature, Frame by Frame. Okay. And I came into the project at that point as it was kind of fleshing out into a feature film and saw the process through to the end. Yeah.
Nice. So, hang on. Can you speak to the experience of being a producer on a documentary, really? Because when I think of producer, I think of I think more of the narrative side of things and how producers work and the producer role is in a narrative feature. But when you have a documentary where you have a bunch of different materials that you'll be filming and editing and everything, I feel like that can be kind of a more open form kind of producing, for lack of a better word. Can you speak to the experience of producing a documentary film?
It is much less well-defined or strictly defined. I mean, there's all sorts of things that can come up when producing a documentary. That's true fiction as well, but more uniquely in documentary, it's really anything can happen.
Yeah.
And so you have to be prepared to kind of handle any obstacles that come up. In this film, there was a lot of... we had to work really hard to find someone who could translate the footage because the languages spoken are really unique. Yeah. There are not that many people that could speak all of the languages in the film and that also speak English well and they could translate, and that was a big challenge. And we worked with several different translators in different parts of the world. We had a lot of archival footage, news footage, and other sources, UN footage that we licensed, or some of it was fair use, so there was a lot of rights things to figure out on the back side and a lot of random things like that, and then also just the logistics of filming at places like the UN and getting permission to do stuff like that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And I think Kyrsten has some questions for it.
So this seems like a really important film that needed to be made. Obviously the subject matter and the content are very important. What is the biggest challenge or obstacle that you found getting the film from day one to where it is today, ready to show?
There were a lot of obstacles on the film. I don't know that I can pick one. I mentioned the translations. That was really difficult. One obstacle. I don't know that I can. I mean, I will say Alexandria, that she was the director and the cinematographer and the editor, and she's spoken a lot and written some things recently. Since the film came out this weekend in New York, there's been a lot of press recently. She has talked a lot about how challenging it was to make the film, and in large part, it made her question her own role as a documentarian, because everyone that she saw was asking for something from Nadia. Everybody needed something from Nadia, and everybody was putting this pressure on her and putting all of their hope on her and all of this burden on Nadia. And Alexandria realized that she was kind of doing the same thing by being there and filming this documentary about her. And she has said several times that it made her rethink, her entire career and her job, and like really look inward and examine like the role that she plays as a documentary filmmaker. And I think that's why people see, I think that's what's special about the film that people see. She won the directing award at Sundance for this film.
It's amazing.
And I think that's something that people see in the film that's really unique, is it's not just a film about Nadia and about survival and about the Yazidis. It's also a film about kind of how we package and tell stories of victims and how we, as filmmakers or media, are affecting the people that we tell stories about, and kind of explores a lot of that.
So now here you are at the end of the process. Is there one thing that you wish you knew going into it that you could tell yourself now?
Oh, man. It's going to be hard.
A lot of things?
Yeah, that's what I would tell myself, is that it's going to be hard.
Oh, yeah?
I would just tell myself to prepare for how grueling the process is. I mean, it's hard to make any film, but there was a lot with this film that was uniquely challenging, and it's difficult subject matter, too. I don't know if that's a good answer.
No, that's a great answer.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. And once again, congratulations on the film. Is it going to be, you said it opened in New York. Are there plans for distribution going forward?
Yeah, it opens in LA next week, and then it'll be rolling out to more theaters. It plays in DC, and then I think Seattle and Santa Fe. There's a handful of theaters. It's like, I think 15 maybe cities so far. They're all listed on the website. It's onhershouldersfilm.com. And it'll be on PBS, on POV in the spring, and it'll be available for streaming and all of that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, and again, congrats on the film, and congratulations on everything going forward, and best of luck.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Here you go.
All right, we're Matt and Kyrsten from the Obsessive Viewer podcast.
Hi, guys.
Would you mind introducing yourself and telling us about the film you're here for?
Sure. I'm here with two films. So my name is Natalie Metzger. I am the co-director and producer of Alone in the Game, which is a documentary following LGBT athletes. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also here as the producer of Thunder Road, which is a finalist tonight for Best Narrative Feature. And that one is about a Southern cop who just recently lost his mom and gives a very awkward, funny eulogy where he dances and sings to Bruce Springsteen's Thunder Road.
Nice.
Exciting night for you then.
Yeah.
Ceremony.
Oh, yeah. So how's your experience been with Heartland? Is this your first time at Heartland, and how's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. There is a hospitality and a support for filmmakers here that I haven't always experienced at other festivals, and so that's been really lovely. And it's my first time to Indiana, and it's such a cool. Indianapolis is such a cool city. I've been exploring a little bit of the downtown area, and it's been beautiful and so warm. Everyone has been so welcoming.
Nice. Well, that's great to hear, and we're super happy to have you here. So, how are you? Are you excited? Nervous? Going into awards night? How are you feeling right now?
I'm excited. I'm mostly excited just to hang out with other filmmakers and watch people get rewarded for all the work that they put in. We've had a lot of success with Thunder Road and gotten a lot of awards, and so I'm not it's if someone else wins, great, and if we win, that's also wonderful. But I'm mostly just excited to watch people get their accolades and to hang out with the other filmmakers.
Nice, that's great. And I think Kyrsten has some questions for you.
So you're wearing a couple different hats here. Can you tell us, is there one challenge or obstacle that you've faced getting either of these films from day one to where you are now able to show them?
Yeah, absolutely. The sports documentary, I think, was one of the hardest ones to make. That was a 2.5-year process of filming, and post was a very long process for that one. We followed all these amazing athletes, these college athletes, high school athletes, and professional athletes, and then we got interviews with Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, with the head of ESPN, all these bigger people. But that took a really long time to get to them and to get those interviews. So that was a long process, and because we had so many different athletes that we had followed, trying to weave all those together in the edit was a really careful process.
Sure.
But yeah, and then making Thunder Road was actually really fun. It was like summer camp. We shot in Austin, Texas, and we all just the whole crew just headed out there, and we all stayed in a giant Airbnb and just filmed inside the Airbnb.
Great.
And we called it summer camp.
Wow. So then, going back to day one of both of these films, if there was one thing you could tell yourself, one thing that you wish you knew going into the process, what do you think it would be?
For Thunder Road, I would say to enjoy the process more. You know, it's easy as a producer to get stressed out by all the logistics and like making sure everything happens on time and on budget. But I wish that I had let myself kind of stop and smell the roses a little bit more and enjoyed the process, because it's a really short process compared to the distribution process and post process. So yeah, I guess enjoy the moments more. And then for Alone in the Game, I don't know. That one, maybe get an editor to start earlier on a documentary.
Oh, that's useful. Yeah.
Great.
All right, well, thank you so much for chatting with us. And again, congratulations on both films, and best of luck going forward. Where can we find both Alone in the Game and Thunder Road online, like social media presence and everything?
Yeah, so Thunder Road, if you go to thunderroadfeature.com, you can see it's in theaters right now, so you can find it in a city near you. And then Alone in the Game, it's available on DirecTV now.
Nice.
So, and then both films have Facebook pages that just have the titles of the films, Alone in the Game and Thunder Road.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you so much, and congrats, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi. Okay. Hi. How are you guys doing?
Hello.
We're Matt and Kyrsten from Obsessive Viewer.
Yep. Great to meet you guys.
Hi. And could you introduce yourselves for the podcast and tell us a little bit about what you're here for?
Sure. My name is Dava Wizenant. I'm the director of Bathtubs over Broadway, and
Steve Young, the subject of Bathtubs over Broadway.
Nice.
And the film follows Steve as he's been a comedy writer, or was a comedy writer for Dave Letterman for 25 years, and along the way of doing that job, he stumbled onto these crazy corporate souvenir albums from industrial musicals.
So I had no idea what this was. Really, nobody does, and now the movie is telling the world. But there used to be, they essentially sounded like and looked like Broadway shows, but they were written for and performed for audiences of dealers and salesmen and distributors. Ford tractor dealers, BF Goodrich tire dealers, McDonald's, Westinghouse, General Electric. So it was a huge, crazily well-produced world of musical theater that the public could not see and did not know about, and I accidentally found it. Went off finding as much as I could, and along the way started meeting the people who did these things. And as Dava tells the story, my life changed as I made these unexpected emotional connections with people. So it's hilarious and weird and surreal and bizarre, and then it's very powerfully touching.
Nice. And I know that there's a lot of archival footage from when you were writing for Letterman and everything. Like how did you guys go through the footage and create the documentary from there?
There are a few key clips that we found along the way. One was from our favorite show, The Bathrooms Are Coming. And so once you have that, you got gold. But we found some other great ones like Purina, and what else can you think of?
Oh, the General Electric musical Got to Investigate Silicones. That's a good one. Most of these archival footage pieces came from the composers and performers. This stuff was not out in the public in any form. This is all completely subterranean. Yeah, there's stuff in this movie that really has never been seen or collected or used in any form before.
Wow, nice. And I think Kyrsten has some questions for you.
Could you tell us any big obstacles or challenges you've had from going from day one to getting the film where it is today, ready to show?
Sure, yeah. I mean, the hardest thing was raising the money and pitching the project, because it's about this crazy hidden world that nobody knew existed, and trying to get people to see what we saw in it excuse me, was at first a challenge. But then once we started shooting and people could see what was actually happening with Steve and these people, then it was like, oh, okay. And finally, we got the money to do it. But that was the biggest thing. Tracking down some of these people was kind of hard.
Sure.
What would you say the hard part was?
Hard part? Well, I feel like I had it easy, actually. I mean, she's the one who sweated blood for 4 years, organizing it, planning it, shooting it, then editing it, doing all the business. It just is very daunting when you realize what independent filmmakers are up against to get something done that is as good as you want it to be. There are not that many people who land the plane as elegantly as Deva has done.
Thanks. Well, great. So you said it took 4 years to make this film. If you could go back to day one, if there was one thing you wish you knew going into the process, what do you think it would be?
Wow, you ask really great questions.
Thank you.
Oh my God. What would I change?
I don't know if
I know exactly. I would have immediately tried to interview Michael Brown because one of our favorite composers passed away just as I was starting, and I didn't know that he was in the shape that he was in, and so that's the one thing I would change. I would immediately go and interview him.
Great.
Great. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys so much for chatting with us, and congratulations going forward. How are you feeling going into awards night and the end of the festival here?
I mean, we are feeling great. Our screenings were so fun. The audiences here at Heartland are amazing. Just so enthusiastic, and we feel like people got the film. And so whatever happens tonight, at least that's the thing. The film is resonating with people, which makes us really happy. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I may, just growing up, I watched The Late Show with my family, pretty much any time that I could stay awake long enough. So I just wanted to say thank you for helping shape my sense of humor, as it were. So,
well, it was my pleasure, and we're very proud that Dave Letterman has the involvement with this movie that he does. He is in it, and he's an executive producer. He was a great supporter of the project.
Perfect. All right, great. Well, thank you guys so much. And where can we find Bathtubs Over Broadway, social media and everything?
Oh,
online?
yeah. It's got the whole empire now. It's, the bathtubsoverbroadway.com, and what else? All the
same thing, but Bathtubs Over Broadway. And we're about to announce some big news, so please follow us on Facebook, Instagram.
Awesome. Well,
Instagram and Twitter, the whole thing. We're full service.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and best of luck going forward, and congrats on the film.
Okay. Thank you so much. Great chatting with you.
Thank you, guys. Hey, hello.
This is Jenny.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Hey.
Hi, we're Matt and Kyrsten from the Obsessive Viewer podcast.
Nice to meet you.
And nice to meet you, too. Would you mind introducing yourself for the podcast and telling us about the film you're here for?
Sure. My name is Jenny Moeller. I'm the co-director and co-writer of Radium Girls.
Yeah, okay, come on.
Yeah, so it's a narrative feature film about teenage factory workers in the 1920s who painted glow-in-the-dark watch dials with radioactive paint and were taught to lick the paintbrushes straight. And they got very sick, and the company covered up research, and a few of the women took the company to court.
Yeah, we were trying to see the film. It was sold out when we tried to see it, which is great. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. So that was one of our big regrets from the film festivals. We haven't been able to see it. But can you tell us about the process of making the film and where it began, where the inspiration was, and about the production?
Sure. So 6.5 years ago, I had sort of stumbled into a job as a production assistant on a documentary, and I was researching the Manhattan Project and the history of the atomic bomb, and I stumbled across a phrase that it was a pretty boring part of someone's autobiography, and they were talking about health insurance for the Manhattan Project workers, and they said, well, of course, we all remembered the tragic dial painters of World War I in terms of taking precautions. And I was like, what is a dial painter? What tragedy? And so I Googled that phrase and came across the Wikipedia page for Radium Girls and read it, and I couldn't believe it wasn't a movie. I could not believe I didn't know this story. And a friend and I decided that we should write the movie. And we wrote the movie, and we applied for this huge grant from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation that they did in partnership with NYU, which we were both alum of. And we, a year and a half after starting to write the script, we won that grant for $100,000, and that really sort of set everything into motion in terms of helping us find a great team.
Perfect. I think Kyrsten has some questions for you.
Oh, this is great. I am so fascinated with this story. Similar to you, a couple years ago, I fell down a long Wikipedia hole, and I researched the whole story of the Radium Girls on the internet. I just find the whole thing fascinating, and I'm so regretful that we didn't get to see the film. But I'm sure it's fantastic. Could you tell us what any obstacles or challenges you've had going from day one to getting the film where it is today, ready to see?
That's a great question. The whole process of making a film is a series of challenges and a series of puzzles that need to be solved. And it's I think it's one of the reasons I'm so drawn to film is because it's constant puzzle solving at every stage, and at every stage it's different challenges to navigate. And in the writing first, it's how do we tell this story in a compelling way, and what's the heart of the story, and as an adaptation, how do you distill all of this historical information and bring it to the story of a character or two characters. And then, and then there's the financing of the project and building a team who believes in this film. And we were really lucky for this film that because it's such a powerful story, what happened to these women, that there were a lot of people who wanted to help us and support this film.
Yeah. So then going back to day one, is there one thing that you wish you knew at the beginning of the process that if you could go back and tell yourself now would have been really helpful?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I think if I had known at that point, actually, you know what? It's a really great question. I think I would have just been buckle up. This is going to be a ride.
Yeah.
This is going to be really hard and it's all going to be worth it. But don't expect this to be easy, but also expect this to be everything you think it could be.
That's great. It's great.
And where can we find Radium Girls social media presence and everything online?
Sure. So right now we're on Instagram at Radium Girls Movie, and we're building the rest of our Facebook website as we speak.
Nice. And are there any other film festivals coming up that you guys have, or
we have a few in the works?
Okay,
but
perfect.
Yeah, if you follow us on Instagram, we will share all about it there.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on the film. We can't wait to see it whenever we can get a chance to. And yeah, best of luck going forward, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Want to take this?
Yes. All right. I'm Matt, and this is Kyrsten from the Obsessive Viewer podcast.
Great.
And would you mind introducing yourself? There's only one of you, and telling us about the film.
Yeah. So my name's Denali Tiller. I directed the feature documentary Tre Maison Dasan.
Nice.
So it's about 3 boys who have parents in prison in Rhode Island, and it's one of the 5 documentary finalists here at Heartland.
Nice. Congratulations. We saw a trailer for it at the opening night kickoff thing, and ever since then I've been wanting to see it, but I haven't gotten a chance to. But it looks incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of, or what attracted you to the project itself and the subjects?
Yeah, so in 2015, I met a woman, Joyce Dixon Haskett, who was incarcerated for 17 years. She, in Michigan, actually. She had 2 kids when she went in who were 6 and 8, and they were 23 and 25 when she came home. So, and her oldest son is still serving a life sentence. He was tried as an adult at 16. And has been in prison ever since. So when she got out, she really started looking at what happened to her kids and other kids when a parent goes to prison, and developed a psychological model that was built into a parenting class at the Rhode Island Department of Corrections. So our worlds sort of collided, and the film actually started telling about her and her story and her history. But as I was researching her program and looking at meeting the kids in the visiting hours at the Rhode Island Department of Corrections, I realized that there wasn't a film that told this. First of all, children are really not part of the conversation around criminal justice, the collateral effects of a person's incarceration. But on top of that, films often, if they're about kids, are sort of from this top-down adult perspective of what we think they're going through. So I wanted to really give them, pass the mic, if you will, and give them the opportunity to tell their own stories, to share their own experiences directly from their perspective. So that's really what the film ended up being.
Wow, it sounds like you're giving a great voice to something that's not really reported on or given a voice in this whole system. It sounds remarkable, and I can't wait to see it. And I think Kyrsten has some questions for you.
Yeah, this sounds like a really great film that is going to touch a lot of people in a lot of different situations. It can be something that could be difficult to talk about or difficult to capture on film. Can you tell us what some obstacles or some challenges were getting from day one to getting the film ready to show?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there are so many technical obstacles you go through making a film. And then when you're working with children, that presents many obstacles in itself as well. So, but the film is really built out of our relationship with each other. So we had over 350 hours of footage, and a lot of that footage is just us playing with Legos and going to McDonald's and hanging out and just, having a really normal interaction with each other, so that they didn't feel put off. The camera sort of just became a part of our relationship, and the film grew from there. And I credit them actually in the film as filmmakers alongside me, and it really was a collaborative process. And then their stories they're very, very different boys, different ages, 6 in the film, 6, 11, and 13 years old. Now they're 8, 13, and 17 years old. But there were definite challenges within their storylines, trauma happening, that we had to navigate very carefully, and so that they were safe and taken care of during those times as well.
Yeah. So if you could go back to the beginning of this process, is there one thing that you wish you knew going into it that you could tell yourself? I started this film when I was in school, actually. I was a senior in my undergraduate at Rhode Island School of Design. So I created a short film that grew into this feature. So I would say I knew, absolutely nothing. I mean, I probably knew something, but looking back on it, it feels like I knew absolutely nothing about filmmaking. So there are, many things, and now I teach, actually, so there are many things I would go back and teach myself how to do, and I've actually amended some of the curricula in the program that I'm teaching to hit on some of those things that I wish I had learned. That's great.
But yeah, because there's so much that goes into making a film. I mean, everything from the technical aspect and what equipment you're using to who's on your team, what the heck does a producer do and why are they that important? Yeah. They really, really are. And then, through how to fundraise, how to look for grants, how to work with your subjects and make sure that, everyone's feeling a part of that process in a collaborative and in a respectful way. So that didn't really answer a specific thing from your question, but there are many, many, many things.
Well, that's great, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much.
And everything, all the success that you have gotten from the film, I'm sure. Are there any other festivals in line for it, or is there anywhere we can see, social media wise, any social media links or anything?
So the film sounds like a French title. It's not. Tre Maison and Dasan are the 3 boys' names. So you can follow us. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or at Tre Maison Dasan, or at our website, TreMaisonDasan.com. I will spell it TreMaisonDasan.com. We're going to the Cuckolors Film Festival in Wilmington in a couple weeks. We'll be at Duck NYC. And actually, we're doing broadcast distribution on PBS. So our premiere for that is April 1st.
Very cool. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And again, congratulations on the film. And best of luck going forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and so those were all of the red carpet interviews that I did, and that's all the interviews that we did at Heartland this year. Once again, thank you to John and Emily, who were heading up the kind of PR side of things over at Heartland this year, and they were fantastic. Just really great organization over there. And also thank you to Jason from he was repping Care to Laugh, and he really set me up with a great interview with the people behind that film, and I was super happy with happy to meet him and them and everything. So now I'm going to kind of wind down and review Care to Laugh, which this was a movie that I was really excited to see because Kyrsten and I saw the trailer for it before or at the opening night or the kickoff party that we went to for Heartland about a month ago, and it looked like just such a charming and earnest documentary that had just a really interesting subject. This comedian is just a guy who's trying to take care of his parents while also trying to be a successful stand-up comic. And I talked about it in the interview, but his work ethic is insane. But I'll get to that in a moment. I do want to mention the actual plot description of it. Jesus' world is flipped upside down when his mother, Adelaida, undergoes emergency surgery to remove a brain tumor. Although most aspiring comedians build their careers on the road, Jesus juggles his responsibilities at home in Long Beach with open mics and auditions in the Los Angeles area, often driving more than 2 hours each way every day. As the pressure of his budding career mounts, the family receives more devastating news. Jesus' father, Antonio, is diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer. An only child, Jesus becomes his parents' sole caregiver. Transforming adversity into comedy, he uses his life experience as material for his routine. He continues to reach for his dream while taking over his father's landscaping business to keep the family afloat. When this catches the eye of producers of The Late Late Show with James Corden, Jesus may have scored the big break he's been banking on. So, Care to Laugh is just it's a lot of different adjectives. It's wonderful, it's inspiring, and it's very funny. Basically the filmmakers followed Jesus for a year, and they basically compiled this footage into a really tight narrative that I mentioned it in the interview, that I was just amazed at how clean the narrative was. It had a clear through line from beginning, middle to end. And it was really, really impressive the way that they were able to condense a year of Jesus' life into a film that follows a very clear narrative structure. And when I say very clear narrative structure, in that plot description, when he faces his different trials and things crop up and everything, both good and bad, you are so there with him during that. When he gets news that he could be on the Late Late Show with James Corden, which is a huge thing. It would be his in the film. It's his late night debut. I mean, that is massive, and you see the struggle that he has. Maybe to say struggle has a negative connotation, but or has the wrong connotation, I should say. As you see him juggle his responsibilities taking care of his parents and his career as a comedian, it's so inspiring, the energy he has and the work ethic and everything. And the reason why just a couple minutes ago I stumbled when I said his struggles, yes, he does have a lot of hardships and everything, but the reason why I hesitate to say struggle is because he seems, Jesus, as just a person, much less a subject of a documentary, just as a person, he seems like such a candid and very grateful, and he doesn't complain, and that's something that really stood out to me. That he doesn't, he's struggling to juggle between comedy and taking care of his parents, but he doesn't see, it doesn't. You don't get the impression that it's a burden to him at all. It's what he does, and that is that's the thing that really stood out to me, is that it is not like he is burdened by his parents. It's not like he is it's not like he's sitting there trying to think of ways to unload the caregiving. It's not, the film isn't about him trying to find a way to have someone provide care to his parents. It's this is just something that he embraces as just a part of his life and a part of his daily routine. And that's something that's so heartwarming and uplifting as well, because you would think, I don't know what this says about me personally, but you would think when you have so many things that are working against, not necessarily working against, but when you have so many things that are taking precedence over you pursuing your dream, it could be easy to be like, well, maybe I can do it this way. Maybe I can focus on my dreams this way, while maybe putting something else over into this other corner, like trying to find a way to hire a nurse to care for the parents, or put them into a facility, like things like that. But that's never brought up as a possibility in the documentary at all. And that's something that I just thought was just really an unspoken beauty to the film, is that it's not a burden to him. It's not even an obligation per se. It's just what he does day in and day out. And that's what really makes this film really magical to me, is that it's just this guy who has this creative outlet, this creative drive, and these dreams, that it's not like he's pushing them aside. It's just he's just doing it. He's just doing doing what he can on both sides of it. It's just really inspiring. That's a word I kind of keep coming back to, is that it's just an inspiring film about Jesus. And like I said in the interview, there are moments where it goes into the kind of the process of stand-up and the process of comedy that he does. Like there are things like he has like a dry erase board that he puts like notes on for whether it's bits or for like a kind of a time frame for how he wants to get to eventually have enough material to have a 1 hour special. You also see the nerves that he has leading up to his late night debut, and how he works through his material that he's going to perform on a national stage like that. It's so straightforward and earnest, and that's another word that I'm going to throw around a lot, is that it's just an earnest portrayal, because nothing in this documentary feels like it is manufactured, or none of it feels like it's inflated to increase the drama or to create drama within the documentary. It's just all straightforward. Things come up in the most organic way, because that's how it happens. That's what happens that's what happened in his life when the documentarians were following him. Like, things crop up and he has to kind of deal with them as they come, both good and bad. Another thing that I didn't mention in the interview, I thought that it was really inspiring and nice to see him have such a good, healthy relationship with his manager and his kind of management team. Throughout the film, like, he has phone calls and meetings with his manager, and it's just really nice to see him basically. He has to turn down things, or he has to work around his schedule with his home life. And it's not anything that's like, oh, well, if you miss this opportunity, this could be really bad, so you should try to work it in. It's like everyone understands what his situation is, and he understands what's important in his life versus what could be like immediately gratifying. So it's just incredible. Like, if you are looking for a documentary that is inspiring in the way that it demonstrates how rewarding and amazing it can be to be a caregiver to someone who you're very close to, and also showcase the incredible amount of work and drive that it takes to be someone that does like stand-up comedy for a living. This is a great documentary for both of those things. It's I can't speak highly enough that it's just a beautiful documentary about one man's dreams and his drive to take care of his parents. And my cat's walking on me. Yeah, so that's kind of a I guess kind of brief review. I know that I probably should spend more time on it, but I'm hoping that I can get I'm hoping that in the coming weeks we'll have an episode where like me and Kyrsten go through and watch some films, and I know we have links to a bunch of screeners, so I think the idea is that she and I will watch some screeners and then kind of do a Heartland post-mortem Heartland potpourri kind of episode where we talk about some of the films that played and everything. But yeah, so to kind of wrap up, because I definitely want to get this episode posted as quickly as I can. Care to Laugh was a great documentary, great way to end the festival. It definitely speaks to the themes and the values that Heartland as an organization has toward, film and like their kind of central message of she's looking at the recorder. The central message of the message and themes of Heartland. So once again, thank you to everyone at Heartland that helped out with helping me and Kyrsten and Tiny see so many movies and do all the press things. So thank you so much, and congratulations to everyone at Heartland on another great film festival, another great year. And also, I urge you, check out Care to Laugh if you can. Links in the show notes to all everything. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get this edited. And then also, if you're waiting for the Sharktober in Irvington episode, that is going to be the next episode to come out, probably. Tiny and I need to record kind of the frame recording of it. And then, I think after that, me and Mike are going to do a double review of Halloween 2018 and, Mandy. So be on the lookout for that. And, after, I should have said this, also, after that, we're going to do another Letterboxd potpourri, and I'm really excited because, it's still kind of in the works, I guess, but if you're listening to this and you don't use Letterboxd, you definitely should, because, in the coming weeks, we are going to be able to do a kind of giveaway that if you listen to the podcast, you'll have an opportunity to get a free Letterboxd Pro membership, which we spoke very highly of in past episodes, where Pro gives you all your stats and everything. So, so follow me on Letterboxd at Obsessive Viewer, and that'll do it for this episode. It was just me tonight, so hopefully I sufficed for you guys. If you're a filmmaker and you were at Heartland and you're checking us out, or if you're just someone from Heartland or that I met at Heartland that's checking out the podcast, thank you so much. Usually there's more people other than me on the podcast, but I hope that you check out some past episodes and subscribe and listen to more. Having said all that, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews means it'll be easier for people to find the show in the highly competitive film and TV podcast genre. It also provides us with valuable feedback on the show. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a one-time PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can also buy other great TeePublic designs in our store, and we'll get a small commission on the sale. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP, Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. We love to hear from you guys. You can contact us by emailing podcast@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at I am Mike White. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, where you can take part in discussions and polls between episodes. For more podcast content, check out Anthology, Matt's solo podcast, where he's reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. For book lovers, you can check out our sister site at obsessivebooknerd.com for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!